I had no time to wonder what it was about this guy that was making me so giddy until I heard him call my name and turned to see him in person. I was usually such a lady on dates, but I wanted to jump on him as soon as I saw his deep green eyes and dark well-fitting suit. He greeted me with such a sweet smile and I felt like a lovesick teenager throughout the entire date. Patrick turned out to be extremely charming. He was a great listener, and unlike most guys I went out with, he spent the whole date asking about me and my personal life rather than my job. I remember I went on a date with a guy once, and the first thing he asked me was literally, "So have you ever defended any serial killers?" So it was refreshing when Patrick kept the conversation focused on me and my interests outside of work. He asked me about my hobbies, my family and my childhood, and I couldn't remember the last time I had enjoyed a date so much. Like I said, I'm usually a lady, but after Patrick started telling me about how he grew up on a farm in Ireland, and he used to bottle feed the baby lambs, I had no choice but to take him home that night. I never slept with guys on the first date, but there was something about how tenderly Patrick spoke to me, and how different he was from the guys I usually dated, that completely swept me off my feet. I didn't regret it either. Patrick turned out to be the best lover I had ever taken to my bed. He covered me in velvety kisses before we started, and his soft hands knew all the right places to touch me. We had just met that night, but he was making love to me like it was our honeymoon. I had never had such a compassionate lover, and I let him sleep over and hold me all night long. We started dating regularly after that, and I fell in love fast like an idiot. It was absurd. My whole life was about keeping control and being logical, but there was just something about the way Patrick looked at me with those mossy eyes that made my brain shut off and my heart sing. Even though Patrick preferred to keep the conversation on me while we were together, I slowly learned more about him as we dated. I found out he had started as an entrepreneur but now did cybersecurity for some company I had never heard of, but he never complained about work. He said he had majored in computer science at MIT and made solid money on the side doing crypto. He seemed to be super skilled at crypto, and I always heard his phone pinging with notifications from his crypto app. Everything was going so perfectly. I couldn't think of anything that could ruin the high that Patrick had me on, but as the months went by I started to notice small things that didn't add up about his life. He seemed to work very strange hours. They changed every week and I wondered why he couldn't choose his hours if he had a high position at his company. I brushed it off. My love kept growing for Patrick. He was only ever sweet and attentive to me, even if I never saw him drive any of the luxury cars from his dating profile. The only thing he had done in nearly 7 months of dating to annoy me was his habit of picking cheaper restaurants for dates. I'm no snob, but I would only ever take him to my favorite places in the Upper East Side. I work hard and I appreciate a fine dining setting. He made me pause once when he suggested Olive Garden for dinner one night after I said my favorite place was all booked up. Whatever. I ignored the teeny red flag that it was, even if it went against my nature. I couldn't help but keep falling deeper in love. On his random days off, Patrick would clean my apartment for me and take my dog to the groomers. Every time I noticed something off about him, such as the fact that I never saw him wearing any of the expensive watches I had seen on his dating profile, he would do something incredibly thoughtful and make me forget all about it. Like when he met my parents, he surprised my mom with 100 red roses. I was blinded by his ability to love me, by his passion. I couldn't believe I had found such a sensitive and understanding partner. He was almost too good to be true. So it's my own effing fault for letting myself get swept up, like a child, like an idiot. I'm a lawyer, for Christ's sake. My entire life is about getting the cold hard facts, but Patrick was the first guy who let me put my guard down. I managed to ignore all the suspicious details about Patrick that had been right in front of my face for months. Everything shattered the other day when I was leaving a late-night work meeting. I was exhausted and I hadn't eaten all day, so I decided to get fast food for the first time in forever. Only I felt the nuclear bomb go off in my head when I walked into the Taco Bell. I instantly recognized the rich green eyes that looked back at me from behind the register. Sure enough, there was my sweet Patrick, standing there at the counter in a Taco Bell uniform. His eyes went so wide when he saw me I thought they might fall right out of his head. I'm not sure what came over me. The image in front of me was too insane and unbelievable. My